New every day. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Marketing Happy Hour, our Friday extravaganza where we talk about all things marketing, advertising, and business. I'm one of your hosts, Dr. Christopher Vogelmann of Maximize Your Media, our digital agency, and Life Beyond Practice, which is our coaching program for doctors who want to escape the exam room to a life of more free time, freedom, and funds with their own online business. And to my, see, I'm getting it right.
Ooh, you got it right, or is
There.
it left? Anyway,
Stage left.
stage left. Hey guys, I'm Troy McDonald with LiveEventMarketers.com, which actually will take you to the Facebook group of the same name, Live Event Marketers, where we discuss everything about live video or actually live production. So if you're doing a podcast that's live, typically videoing it, right? And then we also talk about everything that's kind of like live events related. So that's equipment and that kind of thing, services, actual hardware, cameras, anything like that. So come on into the group. And the other bonus that you get from the group too is you get to share in your live events as they're happening or ones that are scheduled, as long as they're about business and marketing or marketing.
But no past tense events.
Correct.
Yeah.
We have some people when they come in new, they'll do one that they had just done, which then it really just makes the channel, or excuse me, the group, a more glorified YouTube channel. You know what I mean? Where it's like just replays and stuff. And so then to the below center.
Oh, hey,
hey.
Oh, you actually now.
Look at that. Hey, so
Hey guys, what's up?
What's up?
Down here is next.
yeah. So I'm John Paduchak, johnpaduchak.com. I specialize in live streaming and I'm a video marketing guy. So it's great to be here.
Stream on. And
Hey guys, what's up? Can you guys hear me okay?
yeah, it's a little muffled, but I don't. Maybe it could be my speakers. So
What about now?
much better. Oh my gosh,
Okay.
you sound
Sorry
like a
guys.
genuine
My,
radio broadcaster.
My headset kind of went on the blink today, so
Oh.
I'm gonna have to go get another pair. But I'll use this for now. Guys, thanks for having me. I'm Kam Jennings,
There
aka
you go.
Kam Fatz, coming at you on behalf of epicconversions.com. Thanks so much for having me on, you guys.
Always a pleasure.
We are on. So we're talking about audiences. And since Troy is a specialist in audiences, I'm going to start off with Troy.
I am, huh?
Yeah, you are.
Actually, the funny thing is,
That seems to be your focus lately. So
yeah, it is. I'm just looking at myself here, and I've got two monitors. I have my actual what they call confidence monitor right here, which shows me how I'm coming across on the stream. Then I have my other thing on actually StreamYard, but they show me two different images in the sense of so this is a Mac monitor and this is an additional monitor that's not Mac or not from Apple, I should say. And I'm trying to see which ones I'm better lit in. I'm better lit in this one, but I think this might be more accurate, and it looks a little dark, so I have to adjust my lighting. Anyway, that's a thing that I almost look like I'm in my bat cave in one, and then the other one I look lit properly. So
does your audience like Batman?
that's the question.
Yeah.
Is the question. So what I've been really delving into lately, because I had as I tend to do, I mean, it's just been my lifestyle in a sense, meaning my life, right? Is where, and I think a lot of business people go through this as your business evolves and grows. And especially in the businesses that we run where they're based online. Well, there's so much technology that comes out and so many different things and so many different avenues, right? Facebook wasn't around, back in the day. And so, that's just one small example. But I really find that what my focus then has turned to mostly as of late is I'm able to get traffic, to build lists and things like that. That's been my main focus. But I've been really working on targeting and audiences. Now, granted, it's easy to build a list from my viewpoint, right? Because I've just been doing that forever. However, I've been really delving, which I had never done. Can you believe this? Really been delving into Facebook, who I'd say haven't really been a big fan of, so to speak. Like, I mean, yeah, Facebook is nice and it's got its things, but it's almost like, be on it, do your thing, and kind of get off and just stay away from it. But I'm really delving into Facebook and as well as YouTube and some other, well, actually I have on my radar to look at other properties, as I'll call them, but really been delving into Facebook and YouTube and really understanding about building a particular audience, because there's a difference between having a list where you can just kind of mail out to people and that if they're on your list, they're kind of interested in your overall topic or theme, right? But I'm talking about really, really building targeted niche where like their trigger points, their pains, everything like that. And to me, those are really different audiences. So there's an audience that's just, I'm interested in doing business online, or I'm interested in doing business online through memberships and whatever. That to me is a very broad audience versus an audience where you really know not only those things, but you really know about the audience and how to produce your material to them to where you sell more versus, hey, I've got a good enough product that will, it's going to sell to this audience, but how much will it sell as compared to the audience you really want?
Well, I mean, yeah. And if you can segment things, you can segment, I guess, with tags on your email lists, but more than that, I mean, Facebook is just a great place for data mining. So you could have your 25 to 35-year-old North Dakotan marketer who's interested solely in solo ads. And that could be your particular, the basis for your particular campaign.
Right, exactly, and that's kind of what I'm referring to more, where you're getting more into the demographic type stuff, but not only demographic but psychographic. Mm-hmm. So in English, it's basically what are their pain points? Kind of are they more male, more female? What's the age range? But then the other part of it too that's important to me is not only just doing a lot of what I've done in the past, where it's building a big list that's still a little bit more general in a sense, even though they're targeted. But the other thing is, okay, so you've done that, but can you scale that? So in other words, whatever you're doing to build that list, can you scale that, or to what degree can you scale it? So if you're limited on your ability to scale, so I'm hitting a lot of different angles right now, and then we can talk about them. But if you're really limited on how you can scale, then your business is limited.
Yeah. Hey, John, what is your take on finding an audience using live video?
Finding an audience using live video, finding an audience with live video actually is a great conversation, because the one thing that I think works out wonderfully with live video is it helps you identify that perfect audience, because when you're broadcasting, it tends to help you find a new audience that connects with you. And that's one of the reasons I love it so much, because it really gives you a chance to really dig into a whole new group of people that probably never connected with before.
Well, that actually brings up two questions as well. There is the organic reach. In other words, you're out there doing your thing and you're letting people come into your realm, so to speak. And then there's the actual paid generation of bringing people into your realm as well.
Right. So you got a couple different ways that you can do that with live video.
So Kam, how do you find your ideal audience?
Yeah. Thanks, Doc. So a lot of people come to me and say, hey, listen, man, I got the perfect idea for a good product. I'm trying to figure out the right people to buy it, to get it sold to the right people. And it's a little backwards, because I think for me, it goes, you pick the niche first, and then you find the audience, and then you figure out what the product is. Now, when it comes to finding the audience, there's a few things I would bring up. Okay, so if you know what niche you're in, a really great tool is Facebook Audience Insights. Mm-hmm. You can get on Audience Insights and you can find so much about your particular demographic when it comes to creating what they like. I mean, down to like television shows that they like to watch, food they like to eat,
the restaurants they frequent. If I found that, which was really interesting.
Yeah, Audience Insights is really great when you're trying to build like a customer avatar. Now, another thing I will do is I will go to Facebook groups that are niche specific for my niche, and I will just study them, almost like, this is going to sound a little sinister, but almost like a hunter, almost like a hunter. Like
You're just a stalker.
I'm studying what they're saying in those groups. I'm studying the questions they're asking, the things that make them mad, what excites them, what's interesting to them, the problems they have in real life outside of the niche, different things like that. And Facebook groups, forums. I want to know about the problems. I want to know about the questions, and I'll just study them, man, for a couple weeks and just kind of get a feel for what the market is like. Then I'll do the same thing with like YouTube videos in the comment sections, and then on the blogs. Not as much blogs anymore in 2020. I think blogs are kind of dying a little bit right now, but especially YouTube videos, the viral videos in that niche. You can really study those comment sections and get a feel for what's happening right now and what people care about, like right now, if that makes sense.
So what role do surveys play for any of you? Have you done surveys in social media?
Let me add one more thing into Kam's, and then we'll go over to that. Would be also Amazon. So if you know a particular book that they talk about all the time, like it's in that group, and it's a popular one or other popular ones, and look at all the reviews. What did people not like about it? What did they like about it? And that kind of thing.
Yeah, I've gone actually to the bookstores and just looked at the magazine rack to determine where there are enough enthusiastic buyers.
Yeah. And then now to jump onto the survey part. Yeah, I think you absolutely, because what Graham, sorry, that came out too fast. What Kam said about,
he's not your grandmother.
Hey, Grammy, is about finding kind of his flow for finding an audience and then what they want.
Yeah.
I think that's where the survey kind of comes in, and when I say survey, I think there's two forms. In one form, I honestly have not used it in forever, and I think it's one that should be used. Anyway, so there's the one literal, like, hey, you're using, Survey Monkey. I mean, whatever survey software you want to use, right? And then the one that I haven't used in forever, but is still really, really, really a good one, is literally calling people. And especially, well, not only customers, but people that haven't bought, and really talking to them and really finding out, because what happens is so we tend to get into markets and things that we like, right?
Right.
Or, because that's kind of got to drive us as well. But the moment that we step into, now this is my opinion, the moment we step into, as in essence, the entrepreneur of that theme, that niche, that arena, or niche. How do you spell that? N-E-E-S-H.
Niche from the French. Français, monsieur.
I don't know. Anyways, that's just when I hear that, I just kind of. But
son of a niche. Is
I digress.
Yeah.
But the second we step into the role of the entrepreneur, we're not really our audience anymore, or not completely. So that's why it's best to actually talk to people, that are potential customers and or customers already. I mean, so we can really get into their mindset.
I think the listening is the key factor, and paying attention to the people who don't love you. I saw something recently, I think it was in Inc. magazine, about doing surveys with people. Of course, they're doing focus groups and online surveys as well as mail-in surveys. And the emphasis that they had was actually taking a deep dive into the 5 or 10% who absolutely hate you, and find out the reasons why they dislike you or your business or your approach, because that may actually be the gold mine, not so much looking at your fan base.
It's a good point. I'll tell you one thing I will say about surveys, guys, is that, like, I think surveys are great on a topical level, but if you look a little deeper, I mean, surveys won't tell me the real thing that's happening usually, because people don't know. They don't know, man. I'm asking them, and they're not going to give me an honest answer. They're going to give me what
they're willing to lie. I will say that.
I agree.
There's all kinds of, like, different variables why they'll answer a survey in a particular way. It's not the same thing as, like, just kind of studying a Facebook group for a few weeks and seeing what kind of crazy stuff people start talking about. And I'm not saying they're bad. I do lots of surveys to my list, but I don't think like the way I'm going to move is going to like rest solely on the results of a survey, because it doesn't make sense.
Well, I think it's in terms of just having conversations with your existing client base, because very often I find that the best results within social media, let's just say a Facebook post or an Instagram post, is simply asking a question, an open-ended question, and just let the conversation start and let people do sort of free-form riffing on whatever.
That, man, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that, you know, it does, all of them do play their role. I mean, but I agree with Kam. I mean, and that's why actually the actual interviewing or really talking to somebody face to face. I mean, now I agree they're going to hold back some stuff in a sense, but I think as they warm up to you, I mean, not you want to take like an hour with them. I mean, it just depends on your connection or whatever with them, but you know, to actually let them warm up and really let you know how they feel and what they think. And you can kind of also, you know, how like you can hear things that they're not saying, you know, all that kind of stuff like that. You're not going to get that from a survey. And then again, like the survey, I mean, there's a lot of problems with it. However, it's better than nothing, and it is something to start with and give you some things. But I agree also in the sense that with like researching the groups, say as with Facebook, people aren't going to put out there something that they don't want other people to see them say. So it can be also a little bit tainted, but you know, if the group is big enough and active enough, you can get stuff from it though.
I'll tell you another one, Troy, and that same thing you're talking about. For instance, you're not going to see a lot of people put it on Facebook or in a public place that they're procrastinating too much. They're not doing anything. All they're doing is like sitting around watching Netflix all day, and they're not doing the work they're supposed to be doing to get stuff done. It's embarrassing. It's not something people are going to talk about, but it's a huge problem in internet marketing space, especially right now.
Are you spying on me, Kam? I'm just wondering.
That's what I've been doing. How'd you know?
Yeah, so
he has a data feed of your Netflix info, so
that's true.
I need that camera cover.
Camera cover. Hey, so Kam, you said something the other day. It was one of your lives that you were talking about Quora as a great place to look for questions.
Yeah, Quora's cool, man. I'll hang out on Quora and just see what kind of questions people are asking. Not always even in internet marketing space, just about random stuff. People ask all kinds of weird questions. But yeah, it's a great tool for our space as well. I mean, you can even use it to drive traffic. You know, when you start answering people's questions. I'll tell you one thing that's tainted Quora a little bit. Quora has a monetization effect to it, where like they will bring you on and they'll pay you to ask questions. So they've brought a certain amount of people on, and you can actually get approved to do this, kind of like being a YouTube partner. And it'll be like your job to ask questions that bring in engagement. That'll bring in engagement. So I think that kind of limits its capacity to help you drive traffic, like from answering questions, because like people are asking questions they truly don't care about. They're just asking questions, man, because they're trying to get paid.
Is it paid? Is it
what is the sound of one hand clapping?
Yeah, but it's still a really cool place, and you can learn a lot there because people do ask legit questions, and there's some pretty interesting things going on there. I like it. It's made by people who used to work at Facebook, so there's a lot of the social triggering there on Quora as well. So this isn't a pitch for Quora. I just like it a little bit.
I have a couple of friends who harvest leads or find their audience through Reddit, but that's a real tricky one because you have to be very careful.
That's one. I haven't even delved into that.
Yeah.
I like Reddit.
There's some landmines in Reddit. You don't want to be. You don't want to.
Well, there's some nice spots in Reddit that you can just promote your stuff for free. Like there's a couple of subreddits out there that it's just like free advertising. You can just like drop links to anything.
Right.
But Reddit, again, it's a lot like it's a lot like a lot of these other social media platforms.
Yeah.
You're going to get out of it what you put into it. If you don't spend like every day just a little bit every day hanging out there and kind of being a part of the scene, it's hard to really get anything out of it. You're not going to get much out of it just dropping links there. So.
No, you got to become a familiar face and somebody who's trusted
Yeah.
in the area. So, John, what's been your experience aside from using live video streams for finding your audience? Do you use audience insights or other types of things? I used to actually rent email lists and addresses many years ago when I did mostly direct mail.
I do. I use a lot of audience insight from different places. Just trying to think of what else I typically do for audience development.
Were you like surveying your email list or sending out things and
Yeah,
seeing?
mostly all the stuff that we've been talking about.
Yeah.
There's not too much outside of that I can think of generally.
So when it comes,
I wanted to add, if I could,
Yeah.
with the comment about like when we were talking about Reddit, and then also like hanging out and getting people to know you.
Yeah.
Actually, I think the biggest thing that I've been learning, or I should say sharpening my skills on, or really just realizing how much I've been resting on my laurels. I know it's like an old school comment or phrase or whatever, but it's really understanding literally the platform, how it works, and what the platform wants. So whether that is, you showing up and doing daily, like, videos on YouTube, or, or if it's just, maybe it's not necessarily daily, but it's being consistent. So you're like maybe every Wednesday, and then maybe at a particular time, whatever and then what does Facebook want, right? Because Facebook actually has, YouTube in essence has just your, whatever channel you have, right, that you've put up. Whereas Facebook has your personal profile, has pages, and then has groups. So, what does Facebook really want, and that kind of thing. And so it's really learning, and like that. And Reddit is one that I haven't really even touched. I go there and I like reading different stuff, but I wouldn't say I'm anywhere near an expert at it as well. But like, what does Reddit want then? Right. So what is that? Not only what do the people want, because that's an element, but then what does the actual Reddit platform want to that you can take advantage of and leverage yourself?
So I would just ask all of you, and I'll start with this one. What are your two top favorite places or platforms to engage with your audience? Like, where do they hang out? Like for me, it's Facebook and Instagram.
Well, mine is Facebook, and I will be adding YouTube, because I do like elements of YouTube where it is to me, it's more social. Well, I don't know. It really depends on how you look at it, because Facebook pages are really good if you work them properly, versus how a group, because you can actually have a very active page and not a very active group.
Right.
So that's kind of going down a big rabbit hole for explanation, but I do really like the interaction on YouTube as well, as far as, with your followers and stuff, your subscribers.
Go ahead, John.
Yeah. Okay. I think for me, more Facebook, YouTube, and LinkedIn is kind of creeping in more and more.
I'm sorry you've gone beyond your two.
Yeah,
that's right. You must choose only two.
The only reason I say that is because I'm seeing kind of some odd things on Facebook and interaction that I'm not so keen on.
Yeah.
And so,
such as, like what?
Gosh, I don't know if it's more like a feel than I can explain.
It's your spidey sense?
Yeah, almost.
Okay.
I don't know. I don't know if I can articulate it and put it into words, but it's more like a feeling watching the way things are going, and I've heard other people kind of comment.
Do you mean like as far as like the Facebook algorithm, or do you mean like as far as like the marketplace that you're surrounded by?
The marketplace we're surrounded by, because I think the interaction on Facebook has become one that's become very reactive. It's become very reactive and almost
Triggered
and explosive.
A little toxic there.
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
It's become a much more of a toxic playground lately than I like. And so even though I'm very ingrained in Facebook and I have a lot of stuff going on there, I'm just feeling like it's some stuff going on that I'm not too keen on. But,
that actually brings up a good question.
Yeah.
Are you focusing? are you saying like, so on your personal feed, or so, or are you referring to like that you're seeing within a group or groups, and then also on pages, like
I
which
think it's
specific?
more that I'm seeing it within human nature, but that Facebook is a very good, gosh, what's the word I want for this?
Well, I mean, guess what I'm at.
Representation of human nature, because it's so um, um, oriented in that direction.
But John, you know what though, man?
It's
It's Facebook's algorithm is scary intuitive. Like
Yeah.
it is keeping track of everything that like let's say you're scrolling down your timeline and you stop for a minute and you just look and you just kind of read a few of the comments.
Yeah, they want
It notes that, man, and it starts putting more of that stuff in front of you.
Of course.
Pretty soon you're in this like social echo chamber of crap
Yeah,
you don't want to see. And you feel like the whole world's
Yeah.
coming to an end.
I got trapped in the tomb. Yeah.
Well, yeah,
Right.
and
That's what I was going to say is that I think, your own, your own stuff or just your own feed, that to me is one thing. And you can kind of stay separated from that by being in your business page or pages.
Yeah, it's more than just that.
And then your group stuff, because like, I don't necessarily see, I mean, in the groups that I'm in, as an example, or the pages that I visit, they stay on pretty much their topic. But it's the feed that is like, you don't know what you're going to get. So,
but you can influence that feed by basically getting rid of the people who don't engage with you regularly,
or by engaging in
certain
kinds of content. But I'll tell you what, man, here's my thing. Okay, YouTube and Facebook, they're the kings and queens still. I mean, of this whole thing. Yeah. We can see this in Google Analytics. If we look, or if we look any analytical tool, the most popular websites right now, it's YouTube and Facebook. So I would say, I think Troy or John, I think maybe John said this, but Facebook and YouTube are my 1 and 2. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'll tell you what though, I don't hesitate to walk away from Facebook if I have to, John. I mean, if it's getting too weird and if it's getting too just toxic or whatever, I mean, I'll walk away from it for a couple of weeks. I don't really care. It's like, I can't take it. You know what I'm saying? And that's just the way it is. You could survive without it. Ben settled. He walked away from Facebook, and he's 7-8 figure guy. He doesn't use Facebook at all.
Yeah. Same thing is true of Jason and Carolyn Zook. They walked away from Facebook. They just they engage on Instagram only, and YouTube, which is really interesting.
It's a powerful tool, but I mean, sometimes it can be very, very toxic. So who knows?
But your audience may still be hanging out there.
They're definitely hanging out there.
That's the question.
They're there. Trust me.
Are you willing to mine the data that exists there, and then maybe carry them over and spend most of your time on, say, YouTube, for example?
Well, and that's why I say, like, stay away in essence from the feed, right? Stay in your pages or page and group or groups that are related, that you're using to reach your audience, because really your feed is not necessarily your audience. It's people, people that are in your industry. It's other whatever, right?
Well,
so
people whose cat photos you liked.
Yes.
I mean, that'll come up even though they may not be your audience.
Or dogs. We don't want to exclude dogs, because I'm more of a dog fan.
Or ferrets, for all you ferret fans.
Rabbits and sugar gliders.
Funny.
Chinchillas, bunnies.
Facebook and YouTube. Facebook and YouTube, they work in conjunction with each other. Like YouTube is a long game, right? It takes time. You got to invest in it, and then Facebook is a slave to the timeline, so it's more of a short game. But you can use them together like immaculately. So I'd say
I'll agree. In fact, that's the way I'm looking at it, is the more long-term power of YouTube, and then the again, more the power of Facebook, though, like, because I mean, they do, man, just like Cam said, man, they monitor everything, and that allows, as a business owner, for you to find those people, and to communicate with them, and also get them over to YouTube as well, but to have them in multiple places.
Yeah, and there's a half-life to posts too. It was very interesting. I saw something recently, like it was Twitter. A post on Twitter has a half-life of like something like 28 minutes, which is kind of crazy. But a platform like Pinterest had a couple of days. And so since our agency deals with a lot of Pinterest clients, we find that we can drive a lot of organic traffic from Pinterest. But of course, again, then, we're looking at maybe a population of, say, female, married, 35 to 50 with an income of, say, $125,000. So they like the pretty pictures, but you can drive traffic with something like that.
Yeah, that's true. It's so crazy though. You think like, oh, I got a half-life of 2 days on Pinterest, and it's like, man, how much
minutes? It was like,
yeah, you got to think like, what's my point of diminishing return as I put time and effort into my content? Like, if I'm going on Pinterest and I'm going on Twitter, then I gotta be looking for like other ways to like use that content as well, and not just in that one spot, or else it doesn't make sense. So
well, like right now we're broadcasting through Periscope into Twitter, but I know that this is going to have very little effect, other than my hope is that we get a little attention from Google, because Google, takes a look at about 13 to 15% of the Twitter feed.
Let me sorry, John, go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, in general, you got to remember too, we only have an attention span of like 15 seconds. So
what?
A long attention span. I'm thinking 8.
I know.
Yeah.
I don't remember what the actual figure is, but it's really short.
Goldfish is 8. So.
Yeah, I don't even really know how they measure that, but we'll just assume it's scientific.
The fish is talking about us. Food.
That's the other thing too, though. I think a lot of us, okay, I am making a big generalization, but we think about, like it's social, and there's, some little viral concepts that, that people can suggest somebody to come look at something in my group or on my page or on my YouTube channel or Instagram. You know what I mean? There's all that. But listen, folks, if you're running a real business, you should be able to buy your traffic and make money. And the more traffic you can buy and make money from, then people will say then you're in a real business. But my point is, if you're only relying on, referrals, virality and that kind of stuff like that. I mean, I love those, and they're a part of my business as well. But the simple fact is, you should be able to buy and outbuy your competition at some point if you'd like. I mean,
with those virals are the unicorns. Unless you have a unicorn ranch, you're not going to be able to rely on that.
Unicorns dipped in ranch? What?
No, a unicorn ranch. You're raising unicorns.
No, I was joking.
God. Go back there and play some Pac-Man.
After this is done. But that's one thing people need to really remember, because a lot of people are like, they just, they got these followers and likes and da-da-da, you know what I mean? But you'll be surprised out there, the real businesses out there that are actually buying. And there's 2 different kinds of buys. There's the fake ones, which then you don't really have a business. And then there's the real buyers. In other words, the real ads that are being bought to drive people to that and cause subscribers, likes, and that kind of thing. Now, I'm not saying go out and get into debt, because you got to run your numbers, right? But the simple fact is, you should. That's where the real scalability is, because again, the unicorn ranches, I don't know anybody who really has one, so you can't rely on those. But you really want to scale, you got to be able to buy.
I would add on to that, Troy. That's awesome advice, and that's very, very good wisdom. I would also add on to that, be careful, you newbies out there buying traffic. You should know how to put a funnel together that will convert for you. If you're not converting on the funnel, you don't know how to set up an email sequence properly to where you're going to get so much back. And Troy alluded to this when he said, know your numbers. If you don't know your numbers, you're going to probably lose some money. And I would say have a budget set aside, whether it's $50 a month, $100 a month, whatever it is. Get used to analyzing the data. So,
yeah, no, absolutely. You really delve deep into that, and that is really what is needed. And I know it can be kind of scary and stuff like that. And you might have some flub ups or whatever. You have campaigns that don't work and whatever. But that's the whole learning thing. But seriously, that is of all the businesses that I've been involved in, my own and working for as a consultant for other people, et cetera, and even doing the corporate route. I mean, man, you know your numbers, and then it's like you can print money. You know what I mean? Knowing where you can buy the traffic at a certain price, and then it converts to, you know, whatever that end amount is. I mean, you can print money and scale it up as you want, and then, you know, and bring it back down when you're on vacation if you're a solopreneur and that kind of stuff. And I mean, it's just
Money.
And making sure about you've got your list of your buyers, and you can delve into why they buy and what they buy, and even just ask your existing buyers more about them until such a time that you can find a lookalike audience.
And in fact, I was just going to hit on that, because you're exactly right. I would say not necessarily even if you're not literally asking them, but you're pixeling them and then going for the lookalike audience. Now it's a little more deep than really this.
Yeah, and I think
live, but that's definitely what you need to do.
Yeah, and people will vote with their wallets. I mean, you're gonna get a lot of information by figuring out, did they pull out the credit card and did they push the button?
Yeah.
Long pregnant pause.
I'm frozen.
You're frozen.
Listen, guys, if you're going to do paid advertising, I think it's important to have a focus on list building, because the more money that you spend on your ad campaigns, you will convert higher through email. So let's say, let's say you spend in, real simply, $100, and you end up getting so many leads for that $100, and you're sending them to a webinar, right? And you're going to try to convert them on like a $197 offer, right? You're only going to get so many people buy the $197 offer, right? But the amount of money that you're spending on those leads, it gets less and less and less the more people that buy from you in follow-up emails. So there again, and Troy was saying it might get a little too deep for this show. However, man, you've really got to have that system set up properly if you want to make money, because the biggest thing about paid traffic is it can be discouraging. You feel like you're throwing money at something and you're not getting any return on it, and it gets very frustrating.
Oh, I agree 100%. Yeah, we had a e-com business with bike lights and flashlights and others, and we spent a couple $1,000s in Facebook ads. We did collect emails, but I think we relied far too heavily upon driving traffic from Facebook to our e-com store. And that was a huge mistake. I learned that lesson the hard way.
Hey, listen, man, this is the great IM dream. Put $1 in and get $2 out. Exactly. And every single paid traffic course that's ever been in this space has sold that dream.
Yeah.
$1 in and $2 out. It's going to be like printing money, baby. Except you're selling a course on paid traffic, and you're driving a bunch of affiliate traffic to the offer. You're not driving paid traffic to the offer. You're driving affiliate traffic to the offer.
It's an internet marketing shell game. So.
Yeah. Well, Cam, what's funny about that is that so I having been in the list building space for quite a while, would always talk about how, you have all these courses talking about affiliates, right? And I'm like, but how are they reaching you? And it was, and this is again a little more while back, but it was always via email. You know what I mean? So I've always been big about the list, and I completely agree with you that because you have your attendees to the webinar, right? And then you have a few shavings off the top or whatever, a certain percentage of that actually buy, and it isn't that follow up. And then you have your group that's just never necessarily going to convert. But yeah, as you convert more people through follow up, and even sometimes finding out, maybe you end up adding something to it, and you can reach back out to that group that attended and said, hey, I've spoke to you guys. And when I use the term guys, that means inclusive of everybody, is that, hey, I found out that this wasn't so clear and that you guys wanted some help in that. And I kind of overlooked that. So I've actually added another module in there about that. Or we're going to do a live where I'm actually going to answer your specific questions about that, and blah, blah, blah. So every dollar you can bring in from that definitely makes that cost per lead and that dream of the, $1 to $2, putting in $1 and making $2 more a reality.
And it's a future investment. I mean, because your ROI may not be realized immediately. I've had people who, I mean, even in my chiropractic practice in DC, I've had people who I met and 3 years later they became a patient. Or I've even had where I'm watching a marketer for a number of years, and I finally pulled the trigger on buying a product, but it was 4 years later.
Yeah. Well,
Also,
you know that.
Go ahead, man. Sorry.
I was just going to say real quick, and we can. I want to just throw this out there, and then we can talk about it. But attribution. So go ahead, Cam.
I would just say all you guys, all you new guys out there, I was kind of joking about some of the courses out there on paid advertising and kind of poking fun at some of them. You got to be careful who you can trust when it comes to learning paid advertising. One resource you can go to, it's completely free. Facebook Blueprint. All right, Facebook, if you just go to Google, type in Facebook Blueprint. Facebook has college level advertising courses that'll teach you everything about advertising on Facebook. They want you to succeed and they want you to spend money with their platform.
Absolutely.
However, to get certifications, it costs money, but you can take all the courses for free. You can learn everything. You just can't get certified and get that piece of paper. But why would people get certified? They get certified because they want to advertise for other people and they want to show them the credentials. But if you just want to learn, how to advertise on Facebook, you can go to Facebook Blueprint. You can get a hell of an education for free.
That's great information.
That's a
great
killer idea. Yeah. So what I did throw in before that was attribution. And that to me really is the holy grail that, I've chased this since the beginning. Now, for those of you who aren't aware what attribution is knowing really where your customer first came in and that you can attribute the final sale to that. But really there's the in-between part is the actual path, because what we tend to do as entrepreneurs, again, there's that, it's been running for 24 hours. I'm not a millionaire yet. Right. So, I've got to change things up and whatever. And then you
got to give it 72 hours, Troy.
Well, I'm just, come on now.
Totally kidding.
Okay. I was going to say, and in some cases, maybe you give it 72 hours, right? But I'm just saying whatever it is, and then we tweak it, right? Yeah. And then you tweak something else that's part of the, your flow, or some people call it a funnel. I kind of find it, I've always laughed when people started using funnel, because I'm like, isn't a funnel just a new way of saying the path and process where people buy your product that they've
I know some people call it a sifter because it just sifts out the good stuff.
There you go. Anyway, so but as we tweak those different things, then sometimes you start to look at your numbers and you're like, oh well, wait, okay, this was that, and wait, was this it gets really confusing. And there's various different companies that say that they can help you with that. And I've even had some I worked for some of the big gurus as a consultant, working on their projects, and they've used even some of these big names for attribution, and there's still been issues. And so and you spend big bucks on some of these programs to let you know really what's working and what's not, and I just haven't been satisfied with. And that's why to me it's the holy grail. I literally want to know that if I spend, $1 here, and then I want to know the path that generated a sale, then I just, I tweak something and it gives you the exact path, so you can find the patterns. Because the biggest thing that's great about Facebook and the lookalike stuff is that, and this is the phrase that I use, we'll call it TM. Anyways, people are patterns. And that's why you can do lookalike stuff, because there are patterns. And as much as we like to think that we're unique, and to some degree we are, there is also a group that we fit into.
I think you need to be able to tweak and then to track. And I can give you an example from the bricks and mortar world when I had my big old practice in DC, that we had a survey form that was at the front desk. And when somebody booked a call, you'd ask them, well, how did you hear about us? And there were things like Yellow Pages, word of mouth, coupon, whatever, we had probably about 7 different choices. And it was very, very unreliable, to the point where, I found you in the Yellow. I come to you from the Yellow Pages, and you're thinking, oh my gosh, the Yellow Pages, what a great source of marketing. When in reality, their cardiologist talked to them and they remembered the name. They looked it up in the yellow pages, never telling you it was a referral from the cardiologist, but that it came from the yellow pages.
Well, and this even sad thing about it is, like, now in a digital world, there's so many things that we can tweak, because as you mentioned, say for example, coupon, right? Well, that was also just a generic checkbox where it's like, well, which coupon, what month, because maybe you had some overlap, right? And
well, they didn't have to bring it into the office, so that was one good thing.
right. But that's what I'm saying. But see, then that makes it really trackable. And so with online and us being able to tweak things so much. So I mean, I don't want to get off on too much of a tangent, but attribution is really super important. And there are some ways, I know, like Justin Brook has talked about it, where, and I think they still do, or I know they did for the longest time, where they would actually make every single thing its own literal funnel,
right?
To where it wasn't like, you would throw somebody to a page and you have to have some software that would make sure that they were marked with, well, they had originally come from here, and that kind of thing. It was more like if they ended on this sales page and they purchased, they had come through this way.
Yeah, there's no tagging. That's the only way they could get here.
Right. So, but basically, the point that how this really relates to, again, the audience, and knowing your audience and finding an audience, is a simple fact is knowing who's buying at the end, or at least people that are getting so far, and you might figure out where the snag is. But it's all about the lookalike audience stuff, and that's where Facebook really shines in just really being able to tell you who these people are. I mean, they don't literally tell you so you can write it down and go use it somewhere else. You just have to trust, and you really should trust more in letting them pick, because I think that's what a lot of people do as well, is go into Facebook and start messing with things too early.
Yeah. Hey, John, prior to all this COVID craziness and stuff, did you, when looking for audiences, you do a lot of local. So did you go do hand-to-hand combat with local businesses in New Hampshire?
Join or die, right?
Yeah.
No, not so much, because we just, well, depending on which side of my local business you're looking at. If you're looking at the agency side, we're just constantly reaching out. If you look at the business side, because my wife has a physical therapy and massage practice, most of her clients are coming from, a bunch of different places. But in the early phases of things, we just really did well with Google My Business, and we looked at different ways to just keep optimizing that. And even in our local marketing strategies group, we've been spending a lot of time on, using the photos with Google My Business. Is a whole thing that most people don't even know exists. There's just so many different ways, and it's fascinating, because we've been going through a whole thing lately about the fact that so many businesses start locally and then expand globally. They just go from one local market to the next local market to the next local market. And
so who is your ideal audience? I mean, if you were to look at somebody who would be your typical John Paduchak customer or client, your what?
My typical my typical customer is just, and there's just so many people who want to do more video. They're just looking for a way to do that, and it really kind of fairly wide open. But we really try to narrow that audience into the specific groups that we serve. But we do tend to get outliers from that. Like somebody that's a chiropractor might look at something and go, yeah, I want to be doing more video. But then at the same side, a dentist might look at it and go, well, I'm a doctor too. I can still use that same exact thing. And they'll still relate to that. So no matter how hard we niche down on a particular audience, you're still going to get those people that are outliers and bump in.
Mm-hmm.
John, would you recommend they start with YouTube or Facebook, or how would you recommend they go? Let's say like someone owns like I said, a chiropractor practice, and they're like, man, I want to do more video to try to drive more business to my my office. Would you recommend they get started on YouTube, or how would you recommend they go?
You really take advantage of the big two, because you've got your business Facebook page. And Facebook is a great audience that you can get a hold of right away. And YouTube is the long-term player. So that's when Dr. V and I were looking at StreamYard, that was the reason we liked it so much, is because we could be broadcasting to both places without any additional work. How cool is that? and really get a hold of the long-term audience as well as the short-term audience.
Yeah, I like FaceTube.
FaceTube, yeah.
FaceTube. It's a hybrid.
Yeah, yeah. It really kind of is, and the way we use it is definitely, in a sense, a hybrid strategy of sorts, because we're really taking advantage of both. But in the short term, we don't really know what Facebook's going to do with our videos in the long term.
Yeah.
YouTube is more of a known commodity. We know that they're going to reside there pretty much forever unless something ever changes. We know they're going to be around, right? So there's the two approaches.
Yeah, I think sometimes that Zook is trying to free up server space.
Hey, listen, man, nothing's going to be around forever. Download all those videos.
I highly recommend that.
They are assets, man. They can
Exactly.
they can be put in a membership program later on and sold. You could decide at some point in the future, hey, listen, man, let me tell you something. I had a YouTube channel. I had a bunch of videos on it, and it was called List Building for Life or something like that. I put a bunch of videos on it, and I was experimenting to see how I could build the channel quickly, and it didn't really do that much. It was all right. And then I just kind of I spent like 2 months on it, right? And then I just let it sit there for a couple of years. Didn't really do much. And then so later I was doing a product launch, and I was like, you know what, man? I'm gonna make a big show out of this bonus. I'm gonna download all these videos from this channel, and I'm gonna give it as a bonus. So I did this video on Facebook. I live streamed this video. I was like, all right, guys, listen, man, you're not gonna believe this bonus I'm putting in here today, and I'm gonna show you. You see what I'm doing right now? This is my YouTube channel, and I'm deleting everything. And I started deleting all the videos in front of everybody. Yeah, man, this is a bunch of work. I'm deleting all this stuff. It had to be done, though. It had to be done because I'm giving them to you guys as a bonus. So this is all gone, and now it's going to the lucky few.
That's killer.
Up.
Wow.
But that was like repositioning, right? And I'll tell
brilliant.
We could go back a few years prior to that, and like my first YouTube channel I put out, I didn't really think a lot about saving the videos and stuff. I thought they were safe, man. I thought YouTube's gonna be there forever, man. I don't have to worry about it, and I don't want to take up all the room on my hard drive. So I had like over 100 videos on there, and I was making money. I think that channel was making but this is back in the day. This is like 2014. I was making like $500 or $600 a month off of those videos, just in ad revenue. Just one day I went to log in, and boom, YouTube has terminated your account. No reason why, nothing.
You were making too much money.
It was done. It was donezo. And I was like, what? I can't even get my videos. And here's the funny thing, man. Listen, like last year, I'm talking about this happened like 5 or 6 years ago. All of a sudden last year, for no reason whatsoever, YouTube just grants me access to that channel again.
They reappeared.
All the videos were gone. They deleted all the videos.
All the videos were gone. That's terrible.
It's an empty channel. They just gave it back to me. They didn't tell me why
they empty channel.
Wow.
They didn't tell me why they took it away. They didn't tell me why they gave it back to me.
Forget the brain dump. They did a video dump on you.
You're a renter, man. You're a renter. So if you're a renter, the asset is the video. So whether you're putting them on YouTube, whether you're putting them on Facebook or Instagram. I had an IGTV show. Remember when IGTV started up? You guys
we still do.
Yeah.
It was supposed to be like the big competition for YouTube. It was supposed to take over. Yeah, right. That didn't happen. But yeah, I did an IGTV show for a little while, and I gave that one away as a bonus too. But I'll tell you, speaking of competition for YouTube, you know who the real competition for YouTube is? It's Spotify. It's Spotify, man.
Spotify is doing video?
Yeah. Not only are they doing video, not only are they
do podcasts.
They just started doing video. They just started it. And I'll tell you what, here's the thing about it. You got to read between the lines a little bit, but not that much. Because when Spotify took Joe Rogan away from YouTube, that was shots fired. You know what I mean? Yeah. That was shots right at them. Like, we're going after you guys. And it was that's the way it is.
Well, and Amazon's talking about going much more deeper into video. There's a lot of people that are looking in that realm. So you're going to get a lot more competition as time goes on.
And then also depend on your audience too. I mean, they're going to, LinkedIn. I mean, I think they're pretty. I saw something the other day, but then again, I meant to look into when the date was, but I think they're they're starting to pick up speed on who they're letting more people in, doing video on them. But I mean, again, that's a different audience, so it depends on who you're trying to reach and stuff. But
I saw actually there's a great LinkedIn Live with Andy Lyons, one of my friends. Was it yesterday? I think it was yesterday. Yeah, with the TubeBuddy people, and that was pretty darn good. I was impressed with that. And the interaction was surprisingly good on LinkedIn, even though she was multi-streaming to YouTube and other places.
Sure.
Well, I mean, you mentioned Periscope earlier, Doc.
Yeah, Periscope.
Have you seen it? Because I remember doing Periscope like a couple years back.
Yeah,
it was kind of a big deal back then, but then it kind of just died off really fast when Facebook
it's just faded off. But it was an option, and so I just decided, since they've expanded us from 5 locations to 8, I would just add the Periscope in and see what happens.
Twitter's making a bit of a comeback in a lot of ways. So I mean, it's not a bad move just to kind of see. You know, you can always attract new audience in a lot of different places. I think that's
I've seen NFL games live streamed on Twitter, and that's going through Periscope.
Yeah, but you get a chance to just see where you start to gain some traction.
That's pretty cool.
Which has been weird, but
I'm not sure our audience is on Twitch. That's the other one that has an option.
on Twitch, that I can tell you. But
we know that for a fact.
I'm glad though, Cam, that you said that about you can't really depend on anybody else. It's so true. If you aren't saving your videos that you're putting up in other places, you're crazy. You definitely need
the hard way.
Someplace. Yeah, because that is your asset,
Yep.
and you're allowing other people to use your asset. And
I've used it a lot, man. I mean, I got a podcast right now. I'm on episode. I'm not trying to brag or anything. I probably sound like I'm a big bragging dope. I'm not trying to be, but I'm just being real about what I got going on, and hopefully give value to people or whatever. But I got a podcast going on right now. When it gets to 100 episodes, I'm gonna lock it down. I'm gonna walk away from it for a month, and I'm probably gonna package it up and sell it as a product, as an asset. And then I'll come back for season 2. And if the first season does good as a product, I'll do the same thing with season 2. It's like, whatever. So the asset has to be repositioned. You know what I mean?
Cam's 100 bundle.
That's right. I think it's going to sell like fantastic.
100 for 100.
100 for 100. I like that. That's great.
Nope. That's fun. That's a good one, but no way. I'm going to go $15, $14.97 for 100 episodes, audio.
Oh, yeah.
All you can eat.
And
for
then I'll
$15.
Do what now?
All you can eat for $15.
Yeah.
Hey, then throw in the bonus, man, the videos.
That's right. No, the videos are going to be, I'm going to go upsell, right? I'm going to go upsell on the videos,
right.
Maybe $37 to get all the videos with the thumbnails, and the audio, and the audios are from the front. But I don't know. I have to think about it. I know people are probably thinking, what about the transcriptions, man? What about the transcriptions?
Yeah, what about those?
Man, the transcriptions are a pain in the butt. And plus, I have to spend money to make that happen. And I got to make sure that it makes sense for the ROI standpoint. So,
especially with 100 episodes.
And cheaper than they used to be. I mean, it used to cost a lot to get stuff transcribed. And now services like Amazon that do it for so little, it's crazy. And it's funny. You talking about your podcast. I was just thinking, I was talking to a friend of mine. We did a summit 7 years ago, and I was looking at some of the content, and the content is just so great, so evergreen. It's like you could just watch it over and over again. I think it seems like it's timeless. And we've used it tons of times as bonuses for stuff. It's been great.
Yeah. I try to see like content that way, because like content's the lifeblood of the internet.
Yeah.
So like without content, and it's not just like content, right? It's like relevant content, current content, because we're in this 24-hour news cycle. So even if you did something 5 years ago, like John said, if it's still relevant, can you reposition it in a new way? Doesn't matter if it's 5 years ago.
And I'm like, wow, some of this content is just still so relevant today. It's just great.
Yeah.
A lot of the times, especially with video, there's a timeless and a timely aspect, and the timely aspect, the technology changes so fast. It seems like it's changing all the time, and yet this particular summit we did was on traffic, and it just seems so timeless.
Another one that's timeless, I think, is Jeff Walker's book, Launch. It's
I like
15
that
years
book.
old, and
Yeah.
it's still relevant. Every single aspect of it is relevant. It's just
That's
been
15 years old.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like that
15
old.
years old. Yeah,
Holy
hard
crap!
to believe. So,
Well, I just had somebody pop their head into the office, and we were going to go do something for the family. So I'm going to be piecing out.
Well, enjoy it.
If you guys are going to
why
keep,
don't you say, give us your last word and last will and testament here. So.
That's it.
well, really, I think since I'm delving more, or I've been focusing more on Facebook recently, is to really take advantage of a business page, and also use, and then also and use. Well, gosh, I'm like, where do I start? There's just so much cool stuff that I've been really doing.
Give us one cool thing.
I know. I'm like, okay. The biggest thing is because, like, for me, again, having not really used Facebook besides groups, right? I've kind of ignored the pages. I did some stuff way, way, way back in the day, but that's before I really knew anything. I think pages are when I say pages, because I have various different niches and that kind of stuff. So, but anyways, so get yourself a business page if you don't have one, and then find your audience using that, and then use the lookalike audiences to buy traffic to send people into your page. That's my biggest takeaway, to build an audience.
Good one.
I mean, again, it could be a little bit of learning curve. I mean, even for me, but it's really effective, and it's really, and you can also then, I guess, another little side tip to that is, find the people that are really active, and those are the ones you're going to want to target, because then you bring in more people like that versus just a large group with non-active people. Well, when I said group, sorry, a page. So that's even, with a group, you can do some things with a group, but that's a separate topic. So build a page, get lookalike people for your best, your most active people that visit your page, and buy more people and bring them to your page, and build your audience that way.
Good one.
Good.
Yep. Sounds good.
Final thoughts, John.
I'm going to kind of tag off of Troy's there a little bit, in that really, I think now is a great time to concentrate if you're doing live video, looking at attracting people through video for your perfect audience, because I really think there's that aspect that really helps you to get the people who are going to know, like, and trust you faster, and really get more of your perfect clients with video. You're going to really want to concentrate on the big three, certainly the big two, Facebook and YouTube, and then LinkedIn if you've got any kind of business pull and all, or you're in that marketplace. And if you do that, you're going to get a connection to a really strong connection to an audience, and then tie that in with Troy's. Then look for, going out and pixeling and finding more lookalike audiences like that. Can't go wrong.
Good one.
Mr. Ohio.
Thanks, man. Yeah. So on top of those great points you guys mentioned, we talked a lot about audience today, and finding the right audience for what you want to do. I will add to this, once you find the right audience, and you have them, I will say not all of them are going to resonate with you, and not all of them are going to resonate with your brand of marketing. I'll tell you what, a really good video that I enjoyed that really helped me get this down was by Frank Kern, and it was called Core Influence. You can find this very easily on YouTube, but it's about an hour and a half long, but it's well worth it. If you're trying to build a customer avatar, you're trying to figure out who the perfect audience is for you and what you want to do, I highly recommend checking that video out. It's free, and it'll really help you narrow it down and figure out who is the right audience for you and how you want to actually market to them.
Yeah, good point. I mean, I think if I can tag on to that as well, I do think it is important that you find an audience that you resonate with as well.
Where's my ex-wife, Troy? Why are you always trying to get the last word, bro? I'm just kidding, man. I'm just playing with you. Go on, man. Go on.
He told us he was peacing out, but now he's giving a piece of his mind.
Well, I know, but we're close now, and I want to come in strong with you guys. But Kam has a really good point there in the sense that it's not just finding an audience, because that's kind of what we talked about, like, so, you know, having them to us, right? But we also want to be us to them. So you want to find people that you'd actually want to hang out with. I mean, that's one of the biggest things with, I think us, when we look towards other people to learn from, those are people that we'd want to hang out with as well, not just, you know, consume their material, but, and that's what I think life is really about. You know what I mean? Like, look, money's one thing, right? But that comes and goes. Lifestyle, which is, you know, how you live your life, I think is what we all really want, right? And money plays a part in that, but it's finding an audience and ones that we want to be with as well. So anyway.
And just to tag onto that, happy wife.
Hey, John.
Tag him.
Hey, John.
It's like bag him and tag him. What is this?
It's bonus hour.
Happy wife.
Bonus hour. It's a chalk outline. Yeah, what is it?
All right, Dr. V, it's all yours until we tag onto it.
Now. Oh, goodness. I'll roll over and play dead if you want me to. But anyway, so when it comes to your audience, I think the most important thing, you know, if you really want conversion, you need to engage in conversation and a real back and forth with your potential customer, with your existing audience, and actually do something called listening. Because if you really have a good conversation, just like whenever I did a physical diagnosis, in a diagnosis, the patient, through just telling you their story, gives you 90% of what you need to know. So if you listen carefully, they'll tell you what you need to know, and you can build off of that conversation. So be okay with the DMs, with the private messages and everything else like that, because those one-on-one conversations are rich in the amount of information that will make you riches. So thus endeth the sermon for today.
Beautiful.
Anyway, so we hope that you have gotten some golden nuggets without having to go to the Golden Nugget in Vegas. And we will be back here again next week for another fun-filled hour of the Marketing Happy Hour. Bring your own beverage and bring your questions and comments, and we'll look forward to seeing you 5 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Central, 3 p.m. Mountain, 2 p.m. Pacific, 11 a.m. Hawaiian Standard Time, and God knows you Alaskan people just show up.
There you go.
All right.
See you guys.
See you later. Bye.
See ya.
Boom.